Having faked crippling social anxiety since I was a kid, and being stuck in a completely bizarre flash marriage for 3 long years, I hadn't even dared to look my absolute boss of a CEO wife, Clara, in the eye once. But just as I was at a club, acting as a wingman and begging some gorgeous girl for her Insta, a completely chilling, mocking voice echoed right behind me. Felix. Did I accidentally sign my marriage certificate with a stray dog? That hauntingly familiar tone instantly sent ice-cold shivers down my spine. Squinting through the neon lights, my jaw dropped. My fiercely hot-tempered wife, who was supposed to be working abroad for the last 3 years, was standing right there. Let's rewind a bit. My best bro had just gotten brutally dumped for the 100th time, crying his eyes out right in the middle of the crowded bar. "Please, man, just help me find a girlfriend." I seriously can't handle the agonizing pain of another breakup. With a tragic sniffle, he pointed a shaking finger toward a dark VIP corner, aiming right at a stunning, long-legged woman sitting perfectly in the shadows. "Please, bro, she is the one. You gotta help me get her number." I let out a dramatic yawn. "Come on, dude. I actually have morals. I am a legally married man, after all. Granted, I literally hadn't seen my wife a single time since the day we tied the knot." My bro shot me a desperate glare. "I swear to God, if I don't get a hot girl tonight, I am crawling right back to my toxic ex." So, a few minutes later, armed with my bro's phone, I confidently tapped the mystery woman on the shoulder, flashing my most practiced, charming smile. As she slowly turned around, I purred, "Hello there, gorgeous. Would you mind if I grabbed your Insta?" I asked smoothly, putting on my absolute best innocent, nice guy act. She simply looked down her nose at me. Her gaze from behind those sleek gold-rimmed glasses was pitch black and totally unreadable. I got to admit, my bro's taste was insanely sharp. She just radiated pure, untouchable sophistication. Her insanely elegant, high-class aura felt completely, totally out of place in this chaotic, sweaty dive bar. She had been sitting quietly in the corner ever since she walked in, only occasionally turning to chat with the suited-up people beside her, looking poised and effortlessly graceful in every single movement. "I am sorry, but I don't do social media." The woman rejected me instantly and absolutely ruthlessly. Her expression was as freezing cold and elusive as the morning mist. A wave of low, amused chuckles rippled right through her surrounding entourage. Wow, is CEO Vance always this utterly ruthless? Fiercely determined to help my pathetic bro score a massive catch, I held the phone up higher, staring back at her with my absolute best, wide, puppy dog eyes. "Please? Come on, I've been a poor, wifeless orphan since I was just a little kid. Have some pity on a tragic soul." The woman dangerously narrowed her eyes, completely and utterly unmoved by my ridiculous sob story. I started to sweat profusely. I mean, this stupid trick worked like a total charm on literally everyone else. There was absolutely no logical reason it should fail this miserably with her. Suddenly, a blindingly brilliant gleam flashed right across my line of sight. A stunning, priceless diamond necklace instantly caught my eye. Wait. That was a world-famous luxury brand's ultra-rare, limited edition spring statement piece. I had literally bid an absolute fortune on that exact piece at an auction months ago, shipping it all the way to Europe just to keep the fragile piece with my estranged, terrifying wife. I even shamelessly told her to just focus on her corporate empire abroad, claiming my crippling social anxiety would completely prevent me from ever visiting her. And yet, right here, right now, that exact same priceless necklace was resting perfectly against this gorgeous stranger's neck. Wait a damn minute. A horrifying, gut-wrenching premonition suddenly washed right over me. The rich executives around her instantly burst into roaring laughter. "CEO Vance, didn't you explicitly say your husband suffered from severe social anxiety? Honestly, he looks pretty damn lively to me." The dim, flickering club lights cast brutally sharp shadows across Clara's stunning face, making her look absolutely, terrifyingly demonic. I immediately spun on my heel and bolted for the exit like a total coward. I didn't even make it 3 pathetic steps before I was violently grabbed by the collar and dragged right back. Her chilling voice sounded perfectly, dangerously calm, slow and painfully deliberate. "Felix, you haven't had a wife since you were a little kid, huh? Then, tell me, did I happen to sign my legally binding marriage certificate with a filthy stray dog?" I was ruthlessly dragged right into the dead center of the crowd, only just realizing her entire elite entourage was actually there hosting a serious business meeting. Oh, wow. Is this chaotic club exactly where you fragile people with severe social anxieties just love to hang out? Clara, having smoothly wrapped up her deal, turned her full, terrifyingly undivided attention completely onto me. My panicked head started shaking wildly side to side like a broken bobblehead. No, 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 I swear, this is my absolute first time ever being here, I choked out, because if Clara ever found out I had been living like a reckless king back home, completely maxing out her limitless black cards, she would literally skin me alive. Well, Mr. Vance, it is so great to see you again. Hey, where is that smoking hot girlfriend you brought around last time? Suddenly, a painfully familiar, heavy hand excitedly clapped down right onto my shoulder. It was the freaking bar owner. My hand instantly started trembling violently, pointing a wildly shaking finger right at his clueless face. Don't you dare speak such absolute nonsense right now. Instantly realizing he had massively screwed up, the bar owner practically slapped both hands over his big mouth. The silence was deafening until Clara suddenly let out a soft, bone-chilling laugh. She effortlessly slammed a massive, thick stack of $100 bills directly onto the glass table. What else exactly has my sweet husband been spending his money on in here? Boss, spill every single detail. The greedy owner's eyes practically lit up as he beamed with pure joy. Well, he's just rented out the private VIP booths and hired top-tier models a good few times, that's all. Clara slowly curled her perfect lips into a faint, utterly chilling smile. Models. Huh. How perfectly fitting for a poor soul battling such crippling social anxiety. Clara didn't speak a single, solitary word to me for the entire suffocating car ride back to our mansion. She just sat rigidly in the plush back seat, ruthlessly reviewing a business contract on her glowing tablet, while I sat there sweating, frantically babbling nervous nonsense right beside her. I swear, honey, those VIP models last time were literally just booked for my bro. And that other mysterious girl? Totally just his sweet little sister. You know the type. Just a really, really good-hearted little sister who happens to love calling older guys big bro, I stammered, dying inside. Clara just kept her head perfectly bowed. Her flawless expression was completely terrifyingly inscrutable. Her elegant, slender fingers just kept tapping rhythmically against the glass screen of her tablet. Tap, 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 a terrifying sound that genuinely felt exactly like a massive ticking time bomb. It made my racing heart practically explode out of my chest in pure, unadulterated panic. Absolutely terrified out of my mind, I sneakily whipped out my phone to desperately beg the guys for backup, only to realize my group chat with the boys had already completely blown up. Literally dozens of frantic voice notes were totally flooding the bright screen. Grimacing like a man walking to his execution, I slowly pressed the phone right up to my ear. I bet a dime Felix gets her number. My buddy had literally just said, "That woman has a face built for breeding an entire family line. Pop out twins in one night, zero problem." I was typing out a text to tell the guys they had the wrong chat, when a bone-chilling realization hit me. The atmosphere in the car had dropped to absolute zero. My wife, Clara, was glaring at me with a terrifying, deadpan expression. Her thin lips were pressed into a razor-sharp line. Her fury was visibly hitting the boiling point. The obnoxious locker room talk from half an hour ago was blaring crystal clear through my phone's speaker, echoing every single dirty word into the suffocating silence of the luxury car. Damn, that woman is gorgeous. I will leave her to you guys. Up front, the driver wisely raised the soundproof privacy partition without making a peep. Trapped in the dim back seat, I watched Clara slowly set down her tablet. A whole family line? She repeated my buddy's words, enunciating every single terrifying syllable. Her tone was utterly stripped of human warmth. Felix, why on earth would you pass up on such a blessing? I shuddered violently, praying to whatever higher power would listen that I could just melt straight into the leather car door. My body is way too weak for all that, I stammered. Clara calmly took off her glasses, leaned back against the plush seat, and let out a long, heavy sigh. Just as I convinced myself she was going to let it slide and spare my pathetic life, she suddenly grabbed me by the collar and aggressively yanked me over, pinning me right across her lap. "Take off your jacket," she ordered with a dark, ruthless sneer. "Say a single no, and I will end you." Right then, the tires crunched to a halt in front of the massive, ancestral Vance estate. Even this late at night, the grand villa was blazing with lights. I scrambled out of the vehicle right behind Clara, leaving my jacket in a wrinkled, messy heap on the floorboard. She shot me a sideways glance and flatly commanded, Button up your dress shirt. I puffed out a massive breath of relief. And here I was, terrified she was about to unleash her inner beast on me. Turns out, my terrifying wife just brought me home for an awkward family dinner. The second the grand double doors swung open, a handsome young man was waiting inside. "Clara, you are back." Clara's stepfather stepped up with a slick smile. "We heard you were coming back, so Hunter here insisted on coming over to welcome you." Hunter. He was the son of the stepfather's brother, born before the old man married into our rich family. And this guy was the golden boy to all the family elders. Gossip around the estate was that the elders always secretly plotted a marriage match between Clara and Hunter, but then lover boy Hunter ran off to Europe to study literature, so the whole arranged romance completely fizzled out. Some nosy servants even whispered that Clara flew to Europe the day after our wedding just to chase him down. Did they actually fly back together this time? Clara's stepdad smiled way too brightly and pulled out a fancy dining chair. "Come over here, Hunter. Let Clara sit right next to you." Clara opened her mouth, probably to call me over, only to see my eyes lighting up like a ravenous, starved wolf. I drifted toward the table like a desperate zombie. "Is there food? I am absolutely starving." With that, I totally crashed their romantic setup and plopped my butt down right next to Hunter. Now, there was exactly one empty seat left in the whole dining room, directly across from me and the golden boy. The stepfather looked incredibly awkward, practically grinding his teeth as he had no choice but to seat Clara next to himself instead. All through dinner, I sat right across from my ice queen wife, keeping my head down and just stuffing my face with food. Meanwhile, the elders were shamelessly kissing up to Hunter over his fancy European degree. "Hunter, you are staying for good now that you are finally back, right?" He packed those words with some serious hidden meaning, casting a shy, deeply dramatic look straight at my wife. Clara just kept her eyes glued to her plate, gracefully eating and occasionally talking business with her dad, acting like she was completely deaf to the guy's flirting. But then, right in the middle of her sentence, she casually slid my absolute favorite little dessert cake right in front of Hunter. To add insult to injury, she replaced it with a sad plate of plain sautéed vegetables for me. The whole room suddenly went intensely quiet, leaving nothing but the awkward clinking of expensive silverware. I was half a second away from cursing her out, but my silver fork suddenly clattered onto the hardwood floor. As I ducked under the table to grab it, I caught a glimpse of Hunter's shiny shoe creeping over to brush against Clara's skirt. Was this guy seriously playing footsie with my wife right under my nose? Was he trying to provoke me? I took a deep, angry breath, reached my hand right out into the dark under the table, and grabbed Clara's leg. Up top, Clara's chopsticks instantly clattered onto her fine china plate. Look, I know my wife and I weren't exactly a loving couple. And yeah, grabbing her thigh was a wild move, but honestly, who cares at this point? "Clara, honey, what is wrong?" Facing my smug, mischievous question, Clara just cleared her throat, forcing her expression to stay perfectly neutral. "It is nothing." Flashing a warm, fake smile, I bit into a dinner roll while my hand boldly crept even further up her leg. Clara's beautiful face went completely rigid. She slowly raised her icy eyes, staring a hole right through my skull. "Felix, are you quite finished eating yet?" I blinked innocently. "Just taking a little breather," I grinned back. From that moment on, every single time Loverboy Hunter made a move with his foot, I mirrored it with my hand. With every touch, Clara's pristine face grew darker and deadlier. Finally, she snapped. She suddenly clamped her flawless legs tight around my hand, trapping me in a vice grip so powerful I could not yank it free to save my life. Okay, now it was my turn to panic. I stared across the table at her in sheer, utter terror. "Felix, sweetheart, why aren't you eating?" Clara purred, a lethal spark of interest dancing in her eyes. "Is something distracting you?" "No," I lied through gritted teeth, fighting like hell to keep my polite smile plastered on. But the next second, her hidden hand beneath the table escalated things to a whole new level. Clara hissed under her breath. "Can't you just behave yourself?" Seeing my smirk, Clara suddenly let go of me and stood right up. "I am completely done here. Enjoy your meal." Under the watchful eyes of her entire family, she turned on her heel and walked briskly upstairs. Hunter dropped his chopsticks in a flash and scrambled after her. "Clara, wait. I have something to give you." He chased Clara all the way toward the study. Meanwhile, lying in my bedroom, I was sarcastically venting to my boys over the phone. "If she likes that guy so much, why the hell did she marry me?" I snapped. My buddies chimed in one after another. Bro, I think she's just trying to assert dominance. She's showing off her charm to you. Basically, she's proving she can easily wrap any guy right around her little finger. It's a totally open marriage. She doesn't lose out at all. Honestly, it's just a sick power play to make you respect her more. I scrambled up from the bed, my blood boiling. Then what the heck am I supposed to do? The guys replied with absolute conviction. Seduce her, man. Wait until she falls head over heels for you, and then dump her mercilessly. A few short minutes later, I quietly approached her study and softly cracked the heavy door open just a sliver. A faint light filtered out from inside the dark room. Clara was sitting in front of her computer screen, seemingly right in the middle of a meeting. The soft blue glow of the monitor illuminated her absolutely stunning features. My boy's noisy chatter kept echoing loudly through my earbuds. Don't be a wuss, Felix. Go get your girl. My 8-pack abs were completely exposed to the open air, and I was honestly feeling quite chilly. If I can't even lock her down with this physique, I've wasted all these grueling years in the gym. Gritting. Bam! I slammed the door against the wall with a heavy thud, finally catching her full attention. Clara's icy gaze immediately dropped down. She stared right at my outfit, her eyes instantly darkening with a dangerous glint. Felix, is there a problem here? She asked. I dropped the innocent act right then and there. I cleared my throat, puffed out my chest, and strutted straight into her office like I owned the place. Marching right up to her sleek desk, I boldly looked her up and down, completely ditching any sense of hesitation. It was time to take control. But Clara just casually leaned back into her chair. Beneath that gentle stare of hers was a sharp, calculating glint. Was she seriously trying to provoke me? I wasn't backing down. I plopped down right next to her, rested my hand boldly on her leg, and flashed a cocky grin. Boss, let's negotiate a little deal. Clara's eyes slowly trailed down to my hand, and her voice remained eerily calm. All right, go ahead and speak your mind. Look, we barely know each other, and frankly, there's 0 point in forcing it, I declared. So, why don't we just keep this an open relationship and do our own thing? The second those words left my mouth, the entire room dropped to a dead, suffocating silence. Clara's face was completely frozen, but her voice dipped into a dangerously soft whisper. Excuse me, what did you just say? She murmured. Thinking she actually couldn't hear me, I foolishly cranked up my volume. I said, we should just mind our own business, I yelled. But in the exact same split second, the office door swung wide open behind us. Clara, about tomorrow's board meeting. It was her mom. The older woman's words instantly died in her throat as she froze in the doorway. In a flash of pure panic, Clara yanked me flush against her side, using the massive desk to perfectly hide exactly where my hand was resting. Mom, what in the world are you doing here? Clara gasped. The sudden, heavy silence plunged the room into a totally horrifying, mind-numbing awkwardness. I was so paralyzed with absolute terror that my brain completely flatlined. I was literally praying for the floor to swallow me whole, because there was no way I could explain this away. Thanks to my crippling social anxiety, my vocal cords totally locked up. Breaking the unbearable tension, Clara's mom awkwardly cleared her throat. Well, I had business to discuss, but clearly, my timing is terrible, she stammered. Meanwhile, Clara leaned back against my chest, totally noticing my ears burning bright red. A wicked flash of amusement danced in Clara's eyes as she spoke up. Mom, it's okay. I'm actually the one who dragged him in here. She smoothly took the entire blame right on the chin. Her mom just stood there, awkwardly scratching her head, looking completely flustered by the spicy scene. Look, I know you young folks have crazy stamina, but please mind the time and place. Felix is a sensitive boy, you know. Don't keep draining the poor guy like that. Understood, Mom, Clara replied, nodding like she was taking the wildest lecture of her life seriously. It won't happen again. Her mom practically bolted out of the office in a massive hurry, and just like that, the room dropped back into that terrifying, dead silence. Clara's scorching body heat radiated right through her dress, melting into my skin and setting my nerves on fire. We were trapped in a dangerously intimate position, and the undeniable friction down there left me too terrified to twitch a single muscle. Are you an idiot? Her mocking, breathy voice whispered right above my head, sending a shiver down my spine. Do you really enjoy showing off your abs this much? Damn it all. Is messing with me seriously that entertaining? As her soft, teasing laughter echoed behind me, I practically sprinted out of the room, completely and utterly defeated. The very next day, I retreated to the safety of my downtown apartment, but to my absolute shock, Clara's assistant was right on my heels, dropping off a stack of fresh clothes in my master bedroom. The assistant flashed a knowing smile and said, "CEO Vance picked up some custom dress shirts just for you. She mentioned that you would know exactly what to do with them." Instantly, my face flushed a furious bright red all over again. I shoved every last one of those drafts right under the bed. The truth was, I had a massive book signing to get to today. Ever since I randomly posted a short story online 3 years ago on a dare from some forum users, my web novel career had completely blown up. My creative streak became absolutely unstoppable. To this day, I've hammered out well over 6 million words. But of course, I had one massive secret I could never, ever let Clara find out. I once wrote a steamy romance novel using both of our real names. Even right now, it was still sitting comfortably at the top of the completed charts. If you search the name Clara Vance on the site, what popped up wasn't just her stuffy corporate bio, but also her being voted as the #1 female lead with the ultimate sexual tension. Who would have thought a casual little story could launch her straight to the top of the popularity charts? Thankfully, my Ice Queen Clara never paid any attention to nerdy stuff like web novels. If all went well, she would probably never find out for the rest of her life. The signing event was held downtown, drawing a massive, screaming crowd of fans. Aside from the actual autograph session, the organizers had also set aside plenty of time for fan interaction. But right as Clara happened to be leading a business delegation past the venue, one of my cute little fans was eagerly shouting, "Hubby, when is the book about Clara Vance going to be published?" I smiled warmly and said, "It's currently in edits. It will drop when the time is right." But wouldn't you know it, the exact second I looked up, I caught Clara standing on the second-floor balcony, listening to my speech with intense, laser-like focus. Even from that far away, I swear to God I saw her raise a perfect eyebrow. My heart completely stopped. Oh crap, my biggest secret was about to be dragged into the light. To make matters worse, the fan club even brought a comic adaptation and a spicy piece of fan art showing the female lead, Clara, kissing. They literally forced me to hold it up and read a steamy scene aloud in public. Clara just stood right there, soaking in the entire interview session. I bolted the absolute second it ended. While fleeing home in a panic, my phone buzzed with a text from my manager, Chloe. "You're getting totally canceled online right now." Wait, what do you mean canceled? Hunter's fans are claiming your book plagiarized his. Now, Hunter was a so-called rising star in the web novel community over the last couple of years. During a massive content drought, he managed to claw his way to the top tier by constantly ripping off and Frankensteining other people's hard work. That's how this hack suddenly leaped into the ranks of top-tier authors. Not long ago, he blatantly ripped off Clara's character profile for his own book and completely stole several of my major plot twists. But before I could even lawyer up and defend my rights, his toxic fanbase noticed the similarities. These brainless trolls completely ignored my original publication dates, mindlessly spamming my direct messages with ridiculous comparison charts and actually accusing me of plagiarism. Chloe scoffed on the phone. Honestly, he's probably terrified by his own fans right now. I went into total shutdown mode. Chloe tried to comfort me. "Hey, seriously, don't be mad. The situation is actually turning in our favor." I stared blankly at the rapidly climbing trending topics, and a massive headache started setting in. Why the hell did it have to happen right now? Is this seriously how I'm going viral? How am I even supposed to keep my secret safe from Clara anymore? Terrified that my wife had already caught on to my double life, I was completely losing my mind. I hid in a small coffee shop near my apartment building, absolutely terrified to go home. Suddenly, an incredibly familiar, annoying voice drifted over from behind me. "Oh, come on, you have got to be kidding me." Oh, I wouldn't dare compare myself to a seasoned veteran. Looking toward the source of that smug voice, I saw him. It was actually Hunter. He was lounging with a few girls, and the girl sitting directly across from him looked completely and utterly starstruck. Hubby, I honestly think your writing is a million times better than Felix's. You are so going to win this." Hunter replied in a disgustingly cheerful tone. "We're actually negotiating a physical print edition for this book. I'll definitely gift you a signed copy when it drops." "Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you so much." Holding my iced coffee, I casually leaned over. Well, so, you're Hunter?" The fangirl shot me a super annoyed glare. Who are you?" I offered a tight, sarcastic smile. I'm a massive fan of Felix. The girl immediately shrunk back and scurried away, perfectly clearing an empty seat for me to slide right in across from Hunter. Hunter smiled smoothly. I am so sorry about that. My fans have been totally out of line lately. I really hope you don't mind. I know you published your draft earlier than mine, but honestly, I've never even read your stuff. He paused, letting out an arrogant little chuckle. Besides, I find some parts of your writing extremely cringeworthy. It wouldn't exactly be a good look if the older generation read it. I sneered right back at him. Oh, really? Then please explain why your female lead's childhood background, her entire family history, her personality, and even the super specific details of her bedroom are 100% identical to mine. Hunter hesitated for a split second, looking caught. Well, if you can use her as a reference, why the hell can't anyone else? Suddenly, the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. The male protagonist in Hunter's ripped-off book had studied abroad in Europe, harbored a pathetic secret crush on the female lead for over a decade, and finally swooped in to make his dream come true after returning home. I was completely done wasting my breath on him. Turning on my heel, I shot back, Mr. Miller, my divorce from Clara? Yeah, that is not happening anytime soon. So do not go counting your chickens before they hatch. Hunter's face went ghost white with absolute fury. He could not even choke out a single word. The second I got home, I locked myself in the study, pulled up both of our novels, and furiously started cross-referencing the timelines. I just sat there, glaring at my own hard work that he had shamelessly copy-pasted into his own manuscript, seeing his readers gush in the comments, saying things like, "Oh my God, this is so good. The author's plot execution is brilliant. This is the best story I have ever read." Honestly, I was losing my damn mind with frustration. Hours bled away until the dead of night. Clara gently pushed open the study door, only to find me glued to the glowing computer screen like a zombie, my eyes completely bloodshot as I muttered under my breath, "You plagiarizing scumbag. I am going to drag you straight to hell." She flicked on the lights and stepped right up to me. "Felix, what is wrong?" Catching sight of my real-life muse standing right there, I scrambled in a panic to slam the laptop shut, but her hand shot out and stopped me cold. "Why the sudden panic? It is just you writing me into a little novel. Do you really need to go completely crazy and skip meals over it?" I was stunned. She actually had not snitched on me to my parents. Before our wedding, my dad had warned me over and over again, "Do not cause any trouble once you are married, Felix. If you play your cards right, Clara will make sure you are set for life. But hey, I am not just some spineless pushover. I have my own passions and dreams, right?" Still stubbornly shielding my screen, I blurted out, "Someone is dragging my name through the mud." Clara froze. Who? Just a few minutes later, there she was, sitting right in front of the screen, intensely staring at the massive plagiarism charts I had made, completely lost in thought. Those giant walls of text, highlighted in bright, glaring red, practically screamed her name as the main female lead. Feeling like a guilty kid caught red-handed, I sat stiffly beside her, stealing awkward little glances every now and then. Reflected perfectly in Clara's glasses were lines of incredibly spicy, totally unhinged romantic scenes. Honestly, I felt a deep wave of guilt. Making a CEO who usually reviews multi-million-dollar corporate contracts read my smutty little romance chapters felt like an absolute crime against her dignity. After what felt like an eternity, Clara gently took off her glasses, closed her eyes, and pinched the bridge of her nose. I nervously mumbled, Maybe I should just handle this myself. It is fine." Clara opened her eyes, giving me an incredibly intense look. "I can handle it." Yeah, right. It was painfully obvious that she could not quite handle the super spicy second half of the chapter either. The corners of Clara's eyes flushed a deep red as she read aloud, super softly. "A little harder." I awkwardly muttered under my breath. "Wait, aren't you the one who absolutely hates it when I hit on other people? Why the hell are you telling me to go harder now?" But Clara flipped the script on me in a heartbeat. Staring at my totally panicked face, she smirked and said, "Relying on you is pointless. I will just do it myself." The entire study fell into a crazy, awkward silence. I awkwardly pointed a finger at Hunter's ripped-off text. Could you maybe highlight that a little harder line in red for his file? That bastard copied that part too." Clara grabbed the mouse, slowly dragging the cursor over the text before randomly asking, "So, do you prefer it rough?" It is fine," I mumbled, my face burning. Meanwhile, As we were busy compiling the timeline, the drama online was officially boiling over. One user posted, "Felix published his story way before Hunter even did. How can you possibly say Felix is the one who plagiarized?" But the haters fired back. Word on the street is Felix secretly went back and edited his older chapters just to copy Hunter's genius work. There are literal screenshots and proof. Hunter's insane fanbase had somehow photoshopped fake evidence from God knows where, and it was going absolutely viral. The internet moved so fast, there was not even a single second to debunk their toxic rumors. And making things 10 times worse, Hunter smugly posted an update. "Originality is my absolute bottom line. This story is adapted straight from my personal life experiences, and the female lead, she has a real-life counterpart." With that one single, manipulative statement, it took practically zero time for the internet to completely dox Clara's real identity. A random former classmate chimed in online. Hunter and Clara actually graduated from the exact same high school, but they went their separate ways after graduation. The comments flooded in. Oh my God. It turns out Hunter is Clara's actual real-life male lead. "Felix, you are nothing but a pathetic, lying thief." Furious, I grabbed my phone, ready to just blast our literal marriage certificate to the public, only to find out the platform system had completely muted my account. Chloe called me, practically screaming with rage on the other end of the line. "Those scumbags are playing so incredibly dirty. They mass reported your page in a tiny time window. Since you barely post updates anyway, your account authority score is super low. So, the dumb system automatically banned you by mistake. And of course, customer support will not even look at this over the weekend. Where the hell are we supposed to find a massive platform to clear your name right now?" I could only watch helplessly as my name was violently shoved to the very top of the trending topics. They even mockingly labeled me the Dream King because I apparently love to live in a delusional fantasy. It got so bad that toxic trolls swarmed Clara's professional social media pages, ruthlessly spamming her comments section with the most explicit, unhinged snippets I had ever written. People were taunting her. I heard the Vance Group's legal team is absolutely brutal. "Felix completely ripped you off. Are you really not going to sue him into oblivion? Man, you could at least explain yourself instead of dragging everyone else down with you. Seriously, what exactly is your deal with Hunter? Anyway, are you two supposed to be childhood sweethearts or something?" The online drama blew up so fast that the elders of both our families caught wind of it. My mom called me the second she found out. "What on earth are you posting all over the internet?" she demanded. I tried to defend myself, telling her I wasn't writing nonsense, and that it was just a harmless hobby, but my mom ruthlessly cut me off. "What kind of decent guy spouts that kind of absolute garbage on the internet?" she yelled. "Your mother-in-law already called me about this. You march over and find Clara right now, and you better explain everything." With that, she slammed the phone down in a blazing fury. You see, my family has always been incredibly traditional. Growing up, my parents were constantly buried in their business. Because of that, their only expectation of me was to keep my head down, study hard, and stay out of trouble. Not a single person ever cared about what I actually liked or what I truly wanted to do with my life. When I was applying for college, they flat out crossed out literature, my absolute favorite major, and forced me into financial management instead. I honestly thought that once I got married and moved out, things would finally change for the better. Feeling completely defeated, I headed over to Clara's company. She looked like she had just wrapped up an important meeting, stepping right out of the main conference hall. Instantly, a massive crowd of hungry financial reporters swarmed all around her. Somehow, right in the middle of that professional crowd, a sneaky gossip reporter had managed to slip in. Shoving her phone right in Clara's face, she rudely interrupted, "Excuse me, CEO Vance. How do you feel about being written into some trashy internet romance novel? What are your thoughts on this scandal? Is your legal team planning to sue the author for damages?" Clara stopped speaking mid-sentence. I could clearly see the reporter's screen flashing with thousands of hateful comments, all ruthlessly mocking me. Clara just shot a freezing, icy glare at the phone, and then locked her piercing eyes straight onto the reporter. "Security, please escort this lady out of the building." The exact moment she said that, she spotted me standing over by the entrance, looking absolutely pathetic and helpless. Without missing a beat, Clara calmly unclipped the microphone from her lapel, cut right through the sea of reporters, marched straight up to me, and perfectly naturally intertwined her fingers with mine. She offered a quick, unapologetic nod to her associates. Family emergency. I have to head out. I just let her gently lead me away, walking straight into her private office without a single person daring to step in our way. Dusk was quietly settling in. The heavy window blinds filtered the fading twilight, casting these warm, glowing golden stripes all across the quiet room. Clara gently guided me over to the plush sofa to sit down, then turned her back to pour me a soothing glass of warm water. You know, you could have just called me for something like this, she said softly. Then, she pulled out her own phone and started rapidly typing away. Just a few minutes later, my phone gave a sudden, sharp buzz. It was an explosive social media notification. Literally a second ago, Clara had publicly tagged my handle using her official, verified corporate account. The caption was just one simple, earth-shattering word: married. That brief, yet incredibly powerful response was pinned by Clara right at the top of her page, sitting proudly above all her major corporate announcements and official press releases. It completely shattered the trending charts almost instantly. Talk about an insane plot twist. The great Clara Vance and Felix were actually a real, married couple. My loyal fans were so ecstatic they were practically sobbing, relentlessly mass-tagging Hunter to demand a humiliated public apology. "Have you absolutely no shame hitting on a married woman?" they spammed him. Hunter didn't even dare to squeak out a reply. Meanwhile, Clara calmly grabbed her coat. "What do you want for dinner tonight?" she asked casually. "Wait, you're actually coming home?" I stammered. Clara just let out a soft, warm chuckle. "Excuse me, but as a happily married woman, where else on earth would I go if not home?" Clara took the wheel for the drive back. The evening rush-hour traffic was dragging bumper to bumper. Sitting there in the passenger seat, my stomach was in knots, mostly because my mom was currently calling Clara's phone. The call was put on speaker. "Clara, I am so incredibly sorry about all this mess," my mom pleaded. "It's entirely our fault for not disciplining him properly." Clara kept her sharp eyes locked right on the road ahead, her index finger gently tapping against the steering wheel to create a steady, rhythmic thud. "No, Mom, there is absolutely nothing to apologize for. His happiness is the only thing that matters." Outside, the brilliant sunset looked just like bursting fireworks, washing a beautiful glow right over her face and shoulders. Hearing her soothing, steady voice cutting through the chaotic honking traffic inexplicably melted away the heavy anxiety buried deep inside my chest. I found myself staring fixedly at Clara. I watched in awe as a faint, genuine smile touched her lips. Then she smoothly told my mom, "It's such a fascinating piece of writing. If it faded away just because it lacked support, I honestly think that would be a true tragedy." Over the speaker, my mom let out a long, heavy sigh. The internet is just far too toxic these days, and he has absolutely zero real-world experience. I was just so worried. "Thank goodness you're there to protect him." Clara smiled. "Don't worry about a thing, Mom. I will handle everything." A massive, overwhelming wave of pure gratitude surged straight through my heart. But right before I could even fully savor the moment, my brain slammed on the brakes. Wait, a fascinating piece of writing? The exact second she hung up the phone, I nervously swallowed, trying to test the terrifying waters. I started to ask Clara, but she calmly finished my sentence for me. I read it. Every single chapter. A violent, terrified shudder ran straight down my spine, only to hear her playfully add, "It's actually a pretty good read. Consider this, your official reminder to update the next chapter, hubby." My soul left my body. I silently huddled as deep into the corner of the passenger seat as humanly possible and instantly whipped out my phone. "Boys, we have a code red. I repeat, maximum alert." That night, the boys' group chat absolutely exploded again. "Holy crap, man. Why the hell does your terrifying wife actually enjoy your web novel? What is she going to do when she hits those steamy scenes?" I was literally trembling, huddled deep under my blankets. Don't ask me. I don't even want to think about it. For any web novelist, keeping your pen name a strict secret is literally a matter of life and death. But now, my secret identity was completely blown, and the real-life inspiration for my steamy romance knew absolutely everything. Mathematically speaking, I was already a dead man. One of the guys quietly chimed in, "Look, bro, why don't you just make a move? It is not like you two aren't legally married. Getting a little intimate is totally normal." I took a cold shower and lay in bed, turning his crazy words over and over in my mind. As usual, my ice-cold wife Clara was supposed to sleep alone in the study tonight. But wait, Should I really just lie here and do absolutely nothing? I frantically scrambled up from the mattress, deciding I needed to go have a real talk with her. Her study featured massive floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking blinding city neon lights that burned all night long. When I gently pushed the door open, only a single, faint desk lamp illuminated the heavy darkness. Clara was sitting perfectly still in front of her glowing laptop, the quiet, rhythmic clicking of her mouse wheel cutting sharply through the dead silence. Clara slowly raised her head, her piercing gaze perfectly calm. Not asleep yet? Her voice was incredibly soft, almost dangerous. I hovered hesitantly at the doorframe. Well, neither are you. She just stared at me without a single word, but her dark gaze carried this crazy underlying hint of intensity. My palms instantly began to sweat from pure, unadulterated nervousness. I just wanted to come by and say thank you. She smirked. Then come inside and thank me properly. I had totally planned to just quickly thank her and bolt right back to my safe room, but now I was completely out of excuses. The vibrant neon glow cut through the cold glass window, tracing Clara's sharp, impossibly elegant silhouette. I stiffly walked inside, planting myself a very safe distance away from her heavy mahogany desk. Clara smoothly removed her glasses, closing her tired eyes for a brief moment. Felix, how exactly do you plan on thanking me tonight? That loaded question completely stumped me. Remembering the stupid advice the boys had given me, I have absolutely zero clue where I found the sheer audacity, but I pulled up my shirt and flashed my 8-pack abs right in front of her. The guys in the chat would definitely call this playing the same old tired trick, but to me, it felt way more like running completely out of options. I am seriously the most hopeless flirt on the planet. Clara's dark eyes slowly swept over my exposed midriff before she suddenly burst into a soft, breathy laugh. Felix, is this really the best you can do? She was totally mocking my pathetic attempt. My entire face burned fiery hot with deep embarrassment. It was so incredibly humiliating. I just wanted to bolt back to my bedroom, lock the heavy door, and never, ever let that brainless group chat give me relationship advice again. I am leaving. But before I could even finish the sentence, Clara suddenly lunged forward, crashing directly into my arms the very next second. Her burning hot kiss landed softly against my sensitive ear, and yet, I happen to have a total weakness for this exact move. Since you delivered yourself right to my front door, it wouldn't count as foul play if I take exactly what is mine, right? It wasn't until this exact, terrifying moment that I finally saw clearly what was glowing on Clara's computer screen. My deleted, heavily explicit chapters were pulled up right there in plain sight. I panicked instantly. Why? Why the hell are you reading this? She smirked. I am a reader too. Why can't I read my own husband's work? The dark night was painted with a heavy hue of dangerous ambiguity, constantly triggering my highly sensitive nerves. Her slender arms wrapped tightly around my neck, violently pulling my loose dress shirt tight and wrinkling the crisp fabric. Something in the room's air seemed to dangerously shift, becoming burning hot and wildly restless. Clara, what are you doing? Her soft, seductive laughter flowed gently through the dark night. Look at the screen, hubby. How about I do exactly what you wrote? Much later that night, remembering how I had literally joked in my novel about her breeding a whole family line, I passed out from sheer, overwhelming exhaustion and burning embarrassment. The very next day, Clara aggressively handed my massive copyright infringement case over to her absolute powerhouse of a legal team. Sitting right in the middle of a sleek conference table, the corporate elites sitting across from me looked at the colorful, highly explicit text comparison charts and fell into a deeply awkward, collective silence. I cringed internally. Sorry, guys. I didn't want my extremely smutty text to run over your professional faces like a giant steamroller, either. Clara, however, sat perfectly composed like an absolute queen, wrapped this plagiarism case up as quickly as humanly possible. Within just a few short days, my web novel went incredibly viral on the top trending charts once again. Except this time, crazy netizens were treating it like literal nonfiction, gossiping nonstop. Wait, does CEO Clara Vance really tie wrists up in bed? As expected of the most powerful woman at the top of the wealth charts, she really knows how to play dirty. Author, please update more chapters. I desperately want to see what you guys do on a daily basis behind closed doors. Just a few days after I signed the official power of attorney, my rival, Hunter, received a brutal cease and desist letter. I officially slapped him with a massive lawsuit in federal court for blatant plagiarism. Just like that, several of his highly lucrative ongoing film adaptation deals were immediately forced into absolute limbo. Exactly 1 week later, while I was out aggressively negotiating a new collaboration right outside a major publishing house, I ran dead straight into Hunter, his precious documents scattered wildly all over the concrete ground. And right on the very top page, Hunter's pathetic pen name was written in massive bold print. I completely ignored his miserable face and turned on my heel to leave, but Hunter desperately called out to me from behind. "Okay, fine. I admit your rich wife helped you out a lot. But if she finds out the guy you're suing is actually me, what do you really think she'll do?" Staring right into my totally bewildered eyes, Hunter whipped out his phone and dialed Clara's number without missing a beat. The literal second she picked up, he completely broke character, bursting into these pathetic, fake tears. "Clara, I never told you this before, but every single word written in that book is true. I have had a massive crush on you for years. Please, I am begging you, don't sue me." I couldn't hear what Clara said back, but the moment Hunter hung up the phone, he flashed me this absolute psycho smirk. "What a freak," I muttered, rolling my eyes and completely tuning him out. Later that day, after wrapping up my meetings, I pulled out my phone purely out of habit and tapped onto Clara's social profile. My heart totally dropped. That post announcing our marriage, it had completely vanished without a single trace. Even the legal notice on her law firm's official page was scrubbed clean. This whole crazy situation had been trending everywhere lately, so people definitely noticed. Literally, the second the post got deleted, someone fired up a brand new thread to gossip about it. Wait, what is actually going on? Did those two hit a rough patch already? I told you guys it was just a fake publicity stunt. Based on the plot of both books, Hunter and Clara have got to be childhood sweethearts. And then he went abroad to study. Clara couldn't have him, so she settled for an arranged family marriage instead. That recent legal statement was just her way of forcing Hunter to back down. I scoffed at the screen. "Bro, you have been reading way too many trashy romance novels." But still, they always say art imitates reality. Feeling this heavy pit in my stomach, I killed the app and gave Clara a direct call. Her assistant picked up instead. "Mr. Vance?" CEO. Vance just left in a massive rush and totally forgot her phone. "Did you have something to tell her? I can totally pass on a message for you." "No need," I said, playing it totally cool. I calmly slipped the phone into my pocket, walked a few steps, and then abruptly spun around, aggressively hailing a cab to head straight for Clara's company. Seeing me storm through the lobby looking fiercely pissed off, literally nobody dared to stop me. I marched completely unhindered right into Clara's private office. "Give me her phone," I demanded flatly. The poor assistant practically shoved the phone into my hands like it was a ticking time bomb. I punched in the passcode several times, desperately trying Clara's birthday, then my own birthday, but I just couldn't unlock the damn thing. Defeated, I gave up and shoved the phone back to the assistant. While he stared at me like I was completely insane, I shot a quick text to my manager, Chloe. "Hey, aren't we supposed to go out of town for that big event? Let's leave right freaking now." Fast forward to nightfall, and Chloe and I were lounging in a fancy 5-star hotel pool, checking out the gorgeous girls walking along the deck. Chloe clicked her tongue, giving me a judgmental look. "Tsk, you really just ran away like this? Didn't we agree you would actually communicate properly if there was a major issue?" I took a long sip of my expensive cocktail and slumped lifelessly against the wet poolside ledge. Honestly, I just could not swallow my stubborn pride. I originally charged into Clara's office running on pure adrenaline, ready to demand a clear answer, but she wasn't even there. The whole thing felt like pathetically punching a wall of cotton. Once the anger actually faded and I calmed down, I just couldn't bring myself to ask her anymore. Chloe shook her head and sked twice. "You just cannot bring yourself to admit that you actually like her, can you?" I mumbled shiftily, looking away. What if she really did delete that post because of Hunter? Wouldn't it be incredibly humiliating for me to go crawling and asking about it right now? It is way better for me to just act like I literally do not care. As long as I never admit how I feel, I won't be the pathetic one losing face here. Chloe's expression suddenly turned extremely complicated. "Oh, come on. You guys are literally legally married, and you are still out here playing these stupid games?" A bitter wave of grievance surged heavily in my chest. Completely fueled by the alcohol, I angrily splashed the pool water in sheer frustration. "We are just regular friends. Just, like, whatever." I casually pointed a wet finger at the gorgeous girl splashing around nearby. Honestly, marrying Clara is absolutely no different from marrying any other random woman on the street. Chloe instantly went dead silent. Well, to be absolutely precise. She slowly, fearfully shifted her gaze to stare at something standing right behind my back. A sudden chill ran down my spine as I felt completely enveloped by a towering, terrifying silhouette. Slowly looking up, I locked eyes with that incredibly familiar face, partially gentle, yet currently radiating a terrifyingly dark aura. Clara looked utterly exhausted from traveling. Clearly, having rushed so fast, she didn't even have time to change out of her heavy winter coat. Standing ominously on the deck right behind me, she flashed a genuinely chilling smile. I was ruthlessly dragged away by a terrifyingly expressionless Clara. Chloe just gave me this brutal, "you are totally on your own" look and silently submerged herself under the pool water to escape. The literal moment we stepped into our hotel room, Clara aggressively threw me down onto the bed and started tearing off my wet jacket without saying a single damn word. While I was still frantically trying to struggle, she smoothly grabbed my own tie and used it to bind my wrists up incredibly tightly. Dazed and half-blinded by the alcohol buzz, I lay trapped on the bed, entirely at her mercy. "Felix," she purred dangerously, "will you ever actually learn your lesson?" Clara punitively bit down on my earlobe, nibbling against it with an agonizingly gentle pressure. "What lesson?" I mumbled defensively under my breath. Clara glared down and asked icily, "Did I ever tell you that my phone passcode is our wedding anniversary?" "Wait, what anniversary?" "So, 5. Alma. Wait. What passcode? Heights?" Suddenly, a heavy smartphone was aggressively shoved right into my bound hands. Clara caught her breath, leaning in close to order. "Enter the code. If you get it wrong, do not even think about getting any sleep tonight." Blinking through the haze, I finally saw clearly that it was Clara's phone lighting up in my hands. A layer of cold sweat instantly broke out completely across my back. Oh crap, she really did mention that wedding anniversary to me before. Wait. When on earth was it? Clara watched me sweat bullets, letting out a soft chuckle that sounded exactly like a death sentence. Gritting her teeth, she spelled it out word for word. 10:14. Trembling, I punched the passcode in. Click. The screen unlocked, and my legs instantly turned to jelly. Right there on the screen was a notification from that morning. Due to community guideline violations in the comments, this post has been temporarily hidden. Please submit an appeal after cleaning up the comment section. Clara just looked at me, completely exasperated. "Felix, if you had just remembered our wedding anniversary, or waited until I got back from my corporate trip, you wouldn't have spouted such absolute nonsense tonight." Shaking, I tapped the comments icon and nearly choked on my own spit. I had no earthly idea my rival author would play this dirty. They actually paid internet trolls to absolutely spam the comments section with erotica. It got both Clara's post and her legal team's official notice shadow banned together, and naturally, the post announcing our marriage was totally hidden from the public. But Hunter called you right in front of my face, and you still went out. When I brought up Hunter, Clara's voice went dead flat. "My assistant said he got a call from some random guy this morning, just wailing and crying absolute gibberish. He couldn't understand a single word." Clara's tone turned ice cold. "If he feels wronged, he can talk to a lawyer. Why the hell is he calling me?" So, I just blocked him. Desperate to get on her good side, I frantically scrolled through her call logs, only to find that among a long list of high-end professional contacts, there was one completely ruthless contact name. Courier for delivery. Clara didn't even bother looking at it. I pulled out my own phone to cross-reference the digits, and sure enough, it was Hunter's exact number. Clara reached over and killed the lights, leaving just a single bedside lamp to illuminate the tense room. "Felix, let's continue our little conversation from earlier." Clutching my chest, I whimpered, "Ah, my heart hurts." Clara just laughed out of sheer absolute frustration. "What on earth do you have to be hurt about?" I racked my brain, desperately searching for a way out, and suddenly turned the tables. "Look, it's not totally my fault for misunderstanding you. You literally handed him your dessert at dinner. When did I ever give that guy a dessert? At the family dinner last night." Clara paused, falling into deep thought. "You mean when I traded that okra with you? How was I supposed to remember what dish it was? I don't even eat vegetables." Clara went totally silent for a long minute before her tone softened into a dangerous whisper. "Babe, just stop talking. I am genuinely worried you are going to give me a stroke and send me to an early grave. Let me spell it out for you." Clara wrapped her arms tightly around me, her hazy, intense gaze reflecting against the dim glass window. Suddenly, a long-forgotten memory flashed through my mind. Back during New Year's, Clara was stuck abroad. She had called me up. "I have a friend heading back home this year. The desserts over there are actually amazing, so I can have them bring some back for you." And how did my dumb self reply back then? "Don't bother. I don't really like sweets. Do they have okra over there?" Clara had paused for a second. "It's a hassle to ship fresh produce internationally, but I'll have someone source some locally and send it over." It was just a casual piece of polite small talk back then, but Clara had remembered it all this time. Clara let out a cold, sharp sneer. "Felix, I went out of my way to make sure that okra was placed right in front of you, and this is how you repay my thoughtfulness?" I ducked my head, desperately trying to squirm away, only to be locked firmly in her embrace, and mercilessly taught a lesson all night long. By the time dawn finally broke over the city, Clara was just finishing up the last item on her phone's dreaded notes app. "Last year, you told me you didn't like plushies. Is that true? Or not?" With what little breath I had left in my lungs, I wheezed. Lying results in punishment. I shouldn't have to repeat myself, right? Exactly. So, let's begin. The very next day, I was startled awake by an urgent pounding on my door before Chloe burst inside. "The author convention is about to start. Why the hell are you still asleep?" Meanwhile, my legs were entirely turning to jelly. Blushing furiously, I cracked the door open, only to find Clara casually pouring a glass of milk for me. Chloe froze mid-sentence, offering a painfully awkward smile. "Oh, I see. I definitely won't rush you guys anymore. Miss Vance, will you be attending the event with him later?" Clara just smiled faintly. That might not be very appropriate. I grabbed a piece of toast off the table, planted a quick kiss on Clara's cheek, and mumbled, "I'm heading out first." Clara happened to have business that required her to stay in town for a few days anyway, so she planned to head back home with me after the convention wrapped up. But the absolute second I arrived at the venue, it stirred up a massive commotion. Felix and Hunter are showing up at the exact same time. Oh man, we are definitely getting some explosive drama today. Sure enough, just a few paces away, I spotted Hunter surrounded by a massive crowd of doting fans. That guy was absolutely basking in the spotlight, eating up every single second of the attention. Even before the event officially kicked off, he was already milking it, chatting up his viewers on a live stream. No, it's totally not plagiarism. Not at all. Both the print publication and the film adaptation rights are moving forward exactly as planned. They won't be affected whatsoever. Hearing that garbage, I shot a completely bewildered glance over at Chloe. She looked pretty uncomfortable. "Felix, you know how it is in this industry. Ever since that comparison chart went viral, the fan bases on both sides have been absolutely tearing each other apart online. The investors just saw all that massive traffic, so they went ahead and bought the rights anyway. These days, as long as a project makes money, who honestly gives a damn about plagiarism? No matter how despicable a thief is, as long as they pull in the big numbers, there will always be blind defenders ready to speak up for them." I took a deep, frustrated breath. "So, this guy just gets away with stealing my hard work?" Chloe gently pulled me down into a chair. "Don't panic just yet. Miss Vance's legal team is absolutely legendary. There is still a really good chance we are going to win this lawsuit. But a legal battle is never settled overnight. By the time we actually win in court, that shameless plagiarizer will have already made a massive fortune. A measly few $1,000s in statutory damages is practically a drop in the bucket to someone like him. And as if the platform didn't think there was already enough drama, they intentionally assigned our seats right next to each other. Hunter and I locked eyes. He flashed this incredibly smug smile and said, "You know, I actually had my fortune read recently. They told me my luck was about to turn around completely. And would you look at that? It really did." Leaning in uncomfortably close beside him, I murmured right under my breath, "Whether it is the print deal or that shiny new film adaptation, if you manage to close even a single one of them, you can consider it my loss," he scoffed. "Oh, yeah? With what authority?" Resting my chin in my hand, I blinked up at him innocently. "With the ultimate authority of having money," he sneered. "You think having money makes you so special?" Hunter sat right beside me with a thoroughly indignant, pissed-off expression on his face, clutching a throw pillow tightly to his chest as he forced this sickeningly perfect smile to greet the readers. I leaned right over into the camera frame, waving cheerfully as I whispered back, "Actually, having money really does make you special." By the time the author convention finally drew to a close, the crowd never got the massive, dramatic fistfight they were desperately hoping to see. Instead of an all-out brawl, a photo of the two of us, looking completely harmonious and buddy-buddy, made its way straight onto the trending charts. The comment section was buzzing with utter confusion. What is the deal here? Did they seriously just make peace? They are probably just smiling to each other's faces while secretly stabbing each other in the back. Still, Hunter has got some serious nerve messing with Felix. Everyone knows Felix is backed by the Vance family. That is literal powerhouse capital right there. Excuse me, but our Felix is incredibly talented in his own right, okay? Once the event venue finally emptied out, I slid wearily into the back seat of the car, massaging my aching ankles as I immediately gave Clara a call. Is it over? She picked up on the very first ring. There was a lot of ambient noise echoing on her end of the line. Where are you right now? At a corporate gala. I thought for a quick moment before asking, is the head of Apex Entertainment there by any chance? Clara seemed to scan the room for a second before replying, yes, she actually is. I had honestly just asked on a total whim. Who would have ever thought I would hit the absolute jackpot? Perfect. Wait right there for me. I am heading over right now. Beside me, Chloe rolled up her sleeves, confidently pulling out a massive folder packed with documentation. Time to get to work. We are absolutely ruining this guy's deal tonight. Fast forward, and the banquet hall was incredibly lively and packed to the brim. Clara spotted me almost the exact second I walked through the main doors. I walked straight over to her, following her sharp gaze across the crowded room to a specific spot. Right over there. The head of Apex Entertainment, Gavin Sterling, was sitting comfortably on a plush sofa, slowly swirling a glass of expensive wine. Her gaze was locked intensely on a young man standing not too far away, her eyes looking dark, deep, and calculating. I marched straight over, completely cutting off her line of sight. Is there a problem? Gavin asked with a raised brow, pulling her gaze back to me. I aggressively slapped the thick stack of documents down right on the table in front of her. Miss Sterling, I am here to talk some serious business with you. She casually scanned the titles of the two books and let out a dry smirk. Sorry to burst your bubble, but I have absolutely zero interest in your petty little author infighting. Besides, our marketing department personally handpicked this book, which means it has undeniable commercial value. I have absolutely no reason to reject it. Look, I know that plagiarism is not exactly considered a deal-breaker in your cutthroat industry, but what if the author himself suddenly becomes a massive legal liability? Gavin slowly narrowed her eyes. What exactly do you mean by that? I flashed a cold, confident smile. Miss Sterling, Hunter has been privately claiming that this book is based entirely on my wife as his real-life inspiration. I whipped out my phone, pulling up the chat screenshots sent by an undercover fan, and showed her the glossy printed copies. Hunter openly admitted this ridiculous fact to his rabid fans in a huge group chat of 500 people. And worse, certain parts of this book have already severely defamed my wife's reputation. Let's see how much that book is worth now. I am taking this straight to court, and I swear I will not stop until I have completely destroyed him. Gavin just chewed on that for a second before shrugging it off. Look, we have writers on standby. They can just scrub the script and rewrite the messy parts in their sleep. You dragging the author to court really is not our problem. I shot her a wide-eyed, sarcastic look. Fair enough, but remember, we are about to be locked in 2 back-to-back lawsuits for the next 6 months. And if I drag this legal bloodbath out as long as I can, we are easily looking at 1 or 2 full years of pure chaos. I will personally make sure his name hits the top of the trending charts every 3 or 4 months like clockwork. And every single time he goes viral, I am dropping a brand new mountain of evidence exposing his blatant theft. It would be a massive shame if your poor writers had to spend 2 solid years frantically rewriting the script just to get to pre-production. By the time this train wreck actually makes it to the screen, 4 years will have completely evaporated. Hey, your company is made of money, so I bet you do not mind burning it on an endless nightmare. Gavin actually laughed at that. You are hell-bent on torpedoing this deal, aren't you? I flashed a dark smile. Look, when someone tries to walk all over me, I have to make them pay just to blow off some steam. Finally, Gavin threw her hands up, totally defeated. Fine, it is just one stupid show anyway. If it is going to be this much of a toxic headache, I am dodging the bullet. Taking down the publisher was somehow even easier. Chloe casually whispered a little rumor into the industry grapevine, and the publisher instantly shredded his contract without a second thought. Once word got out that Gavin yanked her massive investment, The other backers could not figure out what kind of shady garbage was happening behind the scenes, so they all sprinted for the hills. We happily crashed in a corner booth, just pounding down drinks. By the time my wife Clara finally showed up, I was completely trashed. Stumbling back to the hotel, I was mindlessly scrolling through Gavin's social media feed. Wait, that guy in her photos looks super familiar. Oh, right. He was the youngest Shelton kid, the one who was practically married to someone else. But judging by all these cozy pictures, Gavin totally swooped in and stole him right away. I was eating up the spicy drama, but Clara was just burning holes into me with this intense stare. I slumped heavily against her shoulder and let out a sloppy, drunk giggle. Hey, go dig up the juicy details for me, would you? I am literally dying to know. Clara just smirked, totally amused by my drunk rambling. And what exactly happens if I cannot find anything right now? I blindly grabbed her hand and pressed it flat against my abs. Then, you owe me a good scratch. Clara gently tapped her tablet screen, shutting it off and plunging the back of the car into pitch darkness. Her cool, slender fingers traced the lines of my stomach, slowly creeping higher up my chest. Well, is it still itching? I squirmed around helplessly, rubbing against her like an idiot. Yeah, keep scratching, right there. Clara's voice dropped, turning dark and sultry. You have been wearing this shirt way too long. Wait, what? I literally just put it on. Clara did not waste another second arguing. Drunks do not get speaking privileges. Well, guess I was not getting that juicy gossip tonight after all. Fast forward a few days, Hunter's story had tanked entirely in value, and with the theft scandal raging, the reading platform completely nuked his book from orbit. A massive digital mob flooded the forums to feast on his downfall. Wow, so he really was a thief the whole time. And the jerk still will not even own up to it. Hey Hunter fans, come out and take your public beating. Are you guys just mindless attack dogs blindly defending your pathetic master? Hunter totally panicked and deleted his weirdly vague status, but the coward never bothered to drop a single apology. A while later, Clara and I were forced to visit the Vance family estate for dinner, and her snobby stepfather sighed like it was a tragedy. Hunter grew up right by your side. Do you not think ruining him was just a bit too ruthless? Clara immediately narrowed her gorgeous eyes. Let us get one thing straight. That guy and I were barely high school classmates. If you get a kick out of inviting him over for family dinner, fine, I will not complain. But if you seriously think that loser fits into this family better than my own husband Felix does, then I strongly suggest you divorce my mother right now, pack your bags, and go live with Hunter instead. Clara's mom just kept her head down, suddenly hyper-focused on her soup. The stepfather's face rapidly flashed from ghost white to beet red in pure humiliation, and he totally kept his mouth shut after that. Driving back that night, I glanced over at her, genuinely lost. Hey, if it was not because of Hunter, why the hell did you instantly run away to Europe right after our wedding? Clara let out a soft, heavy sigh. It was strictly business, Felix. The international market was an absolute bloodbath back then. If we wanted the company to survive and grow, I did not have a choice. Wait, so that was the real reason she stayed away for 3 whole years without coming back? Clara just looked at me and offered a faint, mysterious smile. Babe, should we dive into the Okransted drama? Or maybe discuss that total excuse of yours about having social anxiety? All right, fine. I'll admit it. Her not coming back? Yeah, that was partly on me. The very next day, Hunter stormed right into my studio. Felix, you play so damn dirty. If the security guard hadn't held him back, he would have slapped me right across the face. I just shrugged casually. I can't help it. I just can't stand seeing a thief get away scotangent-free. Hunter practically screamed at the top of his lungs. It's clearly your own lack of talent. You're just jealous of me. I let out a cold sneer. Jealous? Of what exactly? Your masterclass copying abilities? If you actually have the guts, go write an original piece. Leave everyone completely awestruck, purely on your own merit. If you can pull that off, I swear, I won't touch you. A few months later, Hunter actually managed to drop a book that pulled in pretty decent numbers. Staring at his skyrocketing metrics, Chloe couldn't help but marvel. You know what? Your arch-nemesis actually seems to have some skill after all. Oh, really? I clicked my mouse wheel all the way down to the end of his latest chapter. It's just that it doesn't really read like his own writing style. Sure enough, a few days later, an unknown low-profile author stepped into the spotlight. To anyone out there, please, help me get justice. The author, Hunter Miller, copied my work first, and then just tweaked it slightly. When I caught him red-handed, he swore he'd give me half of his royalties. But to this day, I haven't seen a single penny. I'm stuck living in a cramped, tiny rental, and I can't even afford to buy food anymore. This time, absolutely no one spoke up to defend Hunter. The entire internet erupted into a massive wave of severe backlash. No wonder that copycat managed to blow up. He just ripped off every single viral trope and mashed them all together. Get the hell out of our industry, you absolute piece of trash. As soon as the scandal broke, Hunter panicked, scrubbed the new book completely offline, and posted a brief update. I deeply apologize for the harm caused to the rookie author. I have already transferred the full amount of the royalties over to him, but someone quickly pulled up a screenshot of his previous statement. Originality is my bottom line, and ruthlessly mocked him in the replies. Have you no shame? Your bottom line has literally sunk straight into the core of the earth. Hunter's social media page remained completely frozen on that final, pathetic update. Meanwhile, my novel got picked up for physical publication. The book signing venue was packed to the absolute brim with fans. I was kept so dizzyingly busy, I didn't even have a split second to grab a drink of water. Finally, when the mid-event break rolled around, I huddled in a quiet corner with a little plate of cake. Munching happily away, I dialed Clara's number. Honestly, you really should have come along with me today. After all, you're the literal female lead. Stealing a brief moment from her busy schedule, Clara let out a soft hum. Eat slowly, and make sure to save half of that cake for me. All right then, mid-sentence. Everything went completely black before my eyes. Without me even realizing it, a guy wearing a baseball cap was suddenly standing right in front of me. Is there something you need? He suddenly whipped out a water bottle and poured it straight over my head. Go to hell, Felix. The ice-cold liquid instantly drenched my entire neck. Everyone was completely stunned by the sudden attack. Every news story and movie I'd ever seen flashed before my eyes like a film, and one terrifying thought crossed my mind. Acid. Amidst the screaming crowd, I dove headfirst, straight into the fountain pool in the center of the lobby. By the time Clara rushed into the hospital, her face was dark enough to bring down a thunderstorm. Seeing me with my arm wrapped in bandages, sitting on the hospital bed with bloodshot eyes, she froze. Chloe, it hurts so bad. Blow on it. Chloe looked completely done with life. Stop whining. Your wife is here. Catching sight of Clara walking up to the bed, I cautiously pulled the blanket up to cover my head completely. What did the doctor say? A fractured forearm. Standard conservative treatment should do it. It's really not a major issue. What did that guy throw on him? Just water. Chloe let out a heavy sigh, though it really was a close call. Honestly, his most severe injury is just the fracture from his dramatic dive. How the hell was I supposed to know the fountain pool was that shallow? Diving in with all my might definitely washed the liquid off my face, but it totally wrecked my arm in the process. Unsurprisingly, a video of me diving headfirst into the pool was already circulating all over the internet. Chloe eventually left, leaving just the two of us alone in the room. Clara sat down right beside me, gently pulling the blanket away. What are you hiding for? I'm just afraid you'll laugh at me. Clara glanced down at my wrist. Even though the outcome looks a little foolish, your split-second decision was absolutely correct in my opinion. Honestly, diving straight into that pool was the absolute best move I had back then. But the moment I heard her praise me, man, my eyes lit up like fireworks. Come here, she murmured softly. Lie down with me. Clara looked absolutely flawless, wrapped in this uniquely intoxicating scent of hers that always drove me wild. She just laughed, completely amused by my reaction, and planted a tender kiss on my lips. Take a few days to just rest, she whispered. Leave all the heavy lifting to me. A few days later, I was finally out of the hospital. Clara took a super rare day off just to stay home and keep me company. I was lounging against her, mindlessly scrolling through my phone, when suddenly, bam! I saw a massive trending topic about Hunter blowing up all over the internet with a huge breaking news tag. The headline? He had just been busted on suspicion of instigating a violent assault. Wait, what the hell was going on? Clara casually peeled an apple for me and dropped the bomb. That psycho who dumped the water on you? Turns out he was one of Hunter's most deranged, hardcore fans. I even saw the leaked screenshots of his direct messages with Hunter. The fan had written, "I feel so terrible for you, author. It sucks that there's nothing I can do to help. Success just brings haters, and people are purely jealous. Isn't he having a huge book signing today? Where is it? Blue Bay Square, right? Hang in there, man. I'm gonna go get revenge for you. And how did Hunter reply to this absolute psycho with a freaking Doge emoji? Just a quick thanks. Once the heat actually turned up, Hunter went into full-blown panic mode, frantically posting a damage control statement online. He claimed, "I honestly thought he was just venting and making empty threats online. I had absolutely zero idea he would actually show up there. I strictly condemn any illegal or criminal behavior," he wrote. "I urge everyone to be careful with their words." But the internet wasn't having it. The comment section was an absolute bloodbath. One top comment read, "You are honestly the perfect mix of pure evil and complete stupidity. Even setting aside your crazy fans' actions for a second, the fact that you instantly threw them under the bus the second you got in trouble is just straight up disgusting. Serves your toxic self right. You totally deserve this." Clara gently pulled the phone right out of my hands. "Hunter actually tried calling you a few times," she said coolly. "I ignored them and blocked his number for you. Honestly, anyone with half a brain could figure out what that snake wanted. He just wanted me to drop a public statement to bail him out and let him completely off the hook. But this guy had secretly prayed for my absolute downfall, practically begging for me to get hurt. A piece of trash like that didn't deserve a single ounce of mercy." A few days later, Hunter nuked all his social media accounts, completely wiping himself off the face of the internet. Word on the street was he got slapped with huge lawsuits from other authors, too. This time, over a dozen writers teamed up as plaintiffs, and the massive statutory damages were guaranteed to bankrupt him entirely. As the blazing summer faded into a crisp autumn that year, the dreary rainy season dragged on longer than ever. But hey, luckily for me, my story actually got its happy ending. Right as the autumn leaves started to fall, my novel's popularity skyrocketed to an all-time high, and those annoying bandages on my arm finally came off for good. Clara whisked me away on an amazing European vacation. While standing in the gorgeous office she had worked in for 3 whole years, my jaw dropped. I suddenly realized the massive shopping mall right across the street was actually named using my exact initials. "Clara," I gasped, staring out the window. When exactly was this built? Leaning heavily against the cold floor-to-ceiling glass, I spun around to look at her. She just calmly unclasped her luxury wristwatch and casually tossed it onto her desk. "I actually started drawing up the plans way before our wedding," she smirked. "Wait, before we even got married? That was insanely earlier than I ever imagined." Clara slowly stalked over, wrapping her arms around me and pressing her warm body flush against my back. "I originally meant for it to be your first anniversary surprise," she murmured, leaving a gentle trail of kisses across my fingers. "But I never expected it would take you this long to finally notice it." Suddenly, she pinned me firmly against the thick window glass and whispered hotly, "That entire mall belongs to you." My ears instantly burned a bright, fiery red. "Why? Why would you do all of this?" I stammered. "Because I love you," Clara purred, playfully nibbling on my earlobe. Hearing my frantic, ragged breathing seemed to unleash her completely as she grew bolder and even more uninhibited. "From the absolute very first moment I ever laid eyes on you, I knew I had to make you mine." "Wait, the first time?" I racked my brain, thinking back to our incredibly stiff, boring blind date dinner. There honestly wasn't a single special or romantic thing about that night at all. Who knows, maybe her taste in guys was just wildly unique. Outside, the blazing sun finally melted into a breathtakingly gorgeous, captivating twilight. Clara didn't bother saying another word. Instead, she left me completely breathless, helplessly begging for sweet mercy as intense, crashing waves of pure pleasure took over. The heavy, low-hanging clouds seemed to shatter against the plunging horizon outside, while Clara's deep, fiercely affectionate voice echoed softly right next to my ear. Just one single, whispered sentence was all it took to instantly unlock a hidden memory I had buried deep inside me for years. Way back in my college days, I joined an awesome student exchange program and ended up staying in France for 3 whole months. Back then, I literally didn't speak a single word of French, but a buddy of mine dragged me out to this super cozy, intimate little private bistro anyway. He pointed straight at a stunning woman chilling by the bar counter. "Hey," my friend smirked, "go say this one specific phrase to the owner over there, and I swear she'll give you a free drink." "Oh, really?" I asked, completely falling for it. "What's the phrase?" Flashing a wicked grin, my friend told me to say, "Je crois que je suis amoureux de toi." The jerk totally lied to my face and said it meant, I really love the vibe here. So, being a naive idiot, I walked up, tapped Clara on the shoulder as she sat by the bar, and confidently repeated the phrase with a massive, friendly smile. Instantly, a flash of pure, stunned astonishment crossed Clara's gorgeous eyes. Recovering quickly, she coolly gestured to the bartender, handed me a tall glass of orange juice, and leaned in to whisper a smooth, husky sentence in French right against my ear. Seeing my absolute, clueless confusion, she just chuckled softly and finally switched over to English. Nothing but orange juice for you tonight. It all started with that one wildly unique encounter, which sparked a massive, undeniably huge crush on her. Every single day after classes, I would swing by for my glass of juice, wave awkwardly at Clara, and confidently parrot that exact same phrase, Je crois que je suis amoureux de toi. But eventually, my ridiculous school workload piled up, and I just never found the time to go back. That brief, embarrassing little interlude was quickly shoved into the back of my mind. However, over the years, my French vocabulary actually managed to improve. So, the very second Clara leaned in and whispered those exact words into my ear, all my walls crumbled instantly. I was hopelessly, undeniably conquered. Leaving me totally weak in the knees, Clara let out a low, sultry chuckle. Felix, I think you finally know what that sentence actually means this time. Je crois que je suis amoureux de toi. It definitely does not mean I really like hanging out here. It actually means I think I have fallen completely in love with you. My jaw dropped. I had literally spent an entire week confessing my profound love to Clara with a goofy, bright smile on my face, before vanishing into thin air without a trace, until fate forced us to cross paths again at that crazy blind date dinner 3 years ago, sparking this chaotic romantic encounter into finally continuing.